Hi everyone, so we are here at COP and I'm very excited to be sitting with two key sustainability leaders in the global cement and concrete industry. I'm Claude Lorea from the GCCA, the Global Cement and Concrete Association, and I'm the GCCA Cement Innovation and ESG Director. And I will ask my two guests, Magali and Elena, to introduce themselves. So Magali, if you want to say a few words about who you are.
Hi everybody. Very happy to be here with my partners in crime on sustainability. I'm Magali Anderson. I'm in charge of innovation and sustainability for Holcim.
And Elena?
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here with these two ladies. Thanks for the invitation to be here. My name is Elena Guede. I'm the Senior Vice President for Sustainability Strategy in CRH.
Elena, why is this commitment so important?
That's a good question, Claude. Thanks for that. So I will say that it is incredibly important that our industry plays a positive role on this net zero target that we have, okay? And in our case in CRH, we are already doing a lot on that. I like to say some examples. For instance, we are really setting a science-based target to decarbonize our business. We are also committed to invest on groundbreaking decarbonization technologies. I think it's also very important to consider the use of more alternative materials and alternative fuels in order to drive a circular economy. And also, it is very important to put a lot of attention and working with regulators in order to be able to improve our legal frameworks and the standard industries to help on the net zero built environment. So I think that we just starting in this journey. Okay, just 1 year is almost nothing for this journey. We're really starting on that, and in CRAs we want to go further and faster on decarbonization.
Thank you. And so we are starting further and faster. But Magali, there must be challenges down the road. And what are the main challenges you see for our sector?
You know, we are called the hard-to-abate sector. I always like to rephrase that by saying we are the full of opportunities sector. So there are obviously challenges, but in front of each challenge, there is equally opportunity. Now, yes, we are starting. However, as a sector, we have already reduced by more than 20% our CO2 emission per ton of cement since 1990. And we know exactly what to do. What we need to do is accelerate. Now, what are the challenges for acceleration? I'd rather to phrase it that way. Will be, of course, the legal framework. One of the things we are seeing today is that the norms are not evolving fast enough. They're not evolving as fast as innovation is. I could give you an example. We have a cement in Switzerland that includes directly the fines from old cement, what the famous construction demolition waste. It only exists in Switzerland. Why? Because the norms won't allow it anywhere else in the world. So we are working with the EU so that it will be allowed in Europe, hopefully early next year. So the legal framework, the norms is one. And then, of course, making it happen as a full industry so that there is no cost problem, loss of market share problem, worries, etc. we could have. And that's why I think GCCA is playing such a key role. Because when we do that roadmap together and when we all work together to go there, we are all having the same message. So yes, challenges, but so much more opportunities than challenges.
Thank you, Magali, and I like this highlight of collaboration, and that's actually why we are all together at the GCCA. Elena, anything you want to add to that, or how to overcome the challenge, or do you have more suggestions?
Well, sure. I'm really very confident that we are going to overcome this challenge, okay? And I want to say that we are collaborating, we are innovating, and we are investing probably more than ever before on this challenge. And for instance, we want to turn all these new technologies coming and arising now to commercial realities in the close future. Okay, this is one thing that we are going to do. And I can mention some examples in the GCCA through the Innovandi Open Challenge Demo Day. We saw a lot of companies that we are going to support now to help us to get these new technologies as really something that can be commercial in short term. And also, I would like to say that I like to mention one which is, for instance, the carbon biocapture, where we are participating on that. And we expect to get a very good green biofuel based on absorption of CO2 using algae, which is a really very innovative project. And I'd also like to say another thing that we are doing today, which is collaborating more for a net zero future. And for instance, more recently, we have partnered with Shell, with the company Shell, on vehicle electrification and changing infrastructure. We are also working on green fuels and looking for more renewable electricity solutions.
Thank you, thank you. And Magali, I'm glad you mentioned this open challenge, because this is great, and I think you're also collaborating in the carbon biocapture project as Holcim. But Magali, another example of a solution, one you really want to put on the spotlight today?
So many, and I don't think we have time to name them all. The carbon capture challenge, us addressing it as an industry, I think is key, because we know it's going to be so key for our future. So yes, the Innovation Challenge is absolutely fantastic. But we also know that we need to run now. We can't wait for anything. So everything we can put now out there has to be ready to run. And I will just give the example of our low carbon concrete that we called EcoPack. We launched it 2 years ago. And when we launched it, there was a lot of discussion. Will there be a demand on the market for low carbon concrete? We had those debates all the time. Well, within 2 years, it represents 15% of our sales. And what we call low carbon concrete, by the way, to define it, it's minimum 30%, but can go all the way to 80% less CO2 than the standard at the country level. And I think that's what is great, is how we have immediate solution that we can implement now to have an impact immediately, because we are here at the COP, and this is what it's all about. It's all about what are we doing today, while we have those innovation work where we work together to prepare the future, because we know to go all the way to zero, it will require some more innovation. So I think this is quite a fantastic setup how we are doing it.
Yeah, really. To change it a little bit topic, everyone says this is a COP for Africa and the global south, and we know all the challenges of resilience and adaptation and the role this will play for communities. What's the role of concrete in there, and what's the role we as a sector have to play there? And maybe Elena, or Elena?
Yeah. I can mention something about this. I'm really think that it's very important to be on the climate change mitigation, and we can play a very important role on that, supporting with new solutions, and solutions that we already have today that we can also escalate and translate to different countries, not just only on Africa, on the global south, but also around the world. Okay, and I want to mention one example. We are quite experienced on water management. Okay, we already have nice structures that we can use to collect storm water and control flows. So thinking about this, we already installed this in our current markets, and this can be easily scalable and translated to other countries where we can help them to improve their human health, they can improve their economic activity, and also cultural heritage, and at the end just protect the environment in a better way. So it's one example only, but I think can tell us something about what we can do.
Thank you, and that's really interesting. And if I may, I would like to link to the nature debate. I mean, I like to say that climate and nature are two sides of the same coin. And I know, Magali, you are doing a lot on water is obviously part of nature, but you have a big action as well on nature more generally. Can you expand on that and link it obviously to this COP in Africa and the global south?
So I think nature has twofold in our industry. One is the water that you just mentioned, so I won't go back there. Mm-hmm. But the other one is on the biodiversity side. And if you look at the amount of construction that's going to happen in the next decade, I'm sure you all heard about the famous, we have to build 1 New York City per month, etc., etc. But there's different, depending who you talk to, there's different things. But what we know is there's going to be a lot. And here in Egypt, they just built the new capital right outside Cairo for about 6 million people. So all this construction that's going to happen is huge, and I think we can't do it at the cost of nature, as we are doing it now. So how to bring back nature, how to reconcile nature and the city is going to be an enormous challenge of the coming years. But again, we have solution. We have those type of porous concrete where it allows you to do urban forests. We are looking at green walls, true green walls, meaning plants growing out of concrete. We are looking at green roofs. All of that will be so critical, particularly as it helps fighting the urban heat island effect. And I think as an industry, we have an incredible role to play on the nature side, on closing societal gaps, such as the billion of housing that is missing today, the billion of people who don't have a house on their roof. As an industry, we have an incredible role to play in the global south, and we are absolutely ready for that.
Thank you. A last question, and maybe that's a more refreshing one. It's not often we have the opportunity to be with three women only on a panel in this industry, and I see Magali is smiling, and we have our global network for women in cement and concrete, but just few words on how can we attract more women in this industry to finish and at COP.
So, you know, I actually think it's I don't know if it's a communication issue, but there's a lot of women who actually would like to join the industry, just don't know how good the industry is for women. So what we are doing today, by putting forward the women in our industry, and not the three of them, there's way more, I think is so important, because we create those role models to explain to the younger generation, hey ladies, this industry is made for you. And that diversity that we need is so important, because diversity brings more ideas, more innovation, brings us forward, more sustainability progress. So we need diversity, and I hope that the three of us are playing those roles of attracting the next generation of women who is going to truly transform us.
Thank you. And Elena, you are one of the very few who have been a plant manager in this industry. So what do you think?
Oh yeah, I fully agree with Magali about all what he mentioned. I think that a company that includes diversity and inclusion as part of his own values is really more successful, for sure, and do better. And it's easier to attract talent, right? So when we are a inclusive company and diverse company, we can attract more talent and more women to us, okay? I like to say that I'm really glad to see, you know, people like you, like Magali, like you, Claude, being part of this sector, because I started here 27 years ago and almost I was alone, right? So I would like to say that we have to do more in communication, as we have a role to do, you know, to attract these people. We maybe need to change the way that we recruit people. We maybe need to change our corporate culture also in GCCA and in all the companies to do more to attract women. Because when you are inside the sector, we really will think that it's a great sector to work in. That's my reflection.
Thank you both. I will see you many more times today. It's a big day ahead of us on this Decarbonization Day, but thank you very much and have a great COP.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.